and you succeed. But the top is fair. Life needs to be the moral world, the world where we play. A world where that is not something that we do, it's something we practice. This is deep committed what goes into that morality. The idea of morality is protected at that time, whether we agree or not, truly exists. Black women are the intersection of race and gender, and that intersection is the work we do. It's the lived reality. And how we respond determines whether equality remains in the vision or becomes the reality. There's a Yoruba saying, ọmọbìnrin ló máa ń kọ́ láti tẹríba, kì í ṣe gbogbo ayé ló máa ń kọ́ láti jẹ́ olóbìnrin. This basically translates to a girl child is supposed to be submitted, but the world is not supposed to be fair for to her. So imagine standing at a crossroads where two forms of violence not one pursue. And whichever one is based, this one navigate both. And right here is where the section begins. Because on one hand, we can point the history. We can point to the fact that legal segregation has been dismantled. We can point to the representation that black women is still growing. And we're having a conversation that was a great start. Practical systems that once went unchallenged. Think about it. Women are allowed to work. Women are allowed to vote. Women are allowed to why they allow traditional culture to fall. Because why basic human rights feel conditional, feel subjective. Studies should touch Nigeria's education that black women have trusted everywhere. And yet they receive less than 1% less than 1%. I mean, think about that. It's like one of the fastest mothers in the race and still giving the least amount of 1%. So yes, progress is real. Action is on people. Opportunities are given. And because of this, progress doesn't always feel like progress. Because when we're living it can feel less like a trending forward. And more a war against being on the mind, a war against being overlooked, a war against having to do again and again and again, but you know if it moves you forced to enter. And over time, this creates gaps, so gaps that have to be a gap that is what we need of our reality. This gap is exactly where equality thrives. And for black men, that gap is not that right. It shows up in places, it shows up in some opportunities, it shows up in the fact that globally, women still earn about 20% less. And for black men, depending on your region, that gap is even wider. This gap shows up in everyday moment of being interrupted, being excluded, being underestimated. And over these small habits become everything over time, these gaps are created free. They believe that no matter how much progress is made, this war free never ends. Voila. Every movement in history has reached a point like this, where we decide, do we stop because it's hard, or do we continue because we're close? Something, nobody is changed the right, but I can't tell you otherwise. This war is not fighting for, and this war is not meaningless. Yes, it feels like an endless one, but it's not a hopeless one. Because progress is not instant. Progress is not constant. Progress is irreversible. Think of it like opening a heavy door. At first, nothing moves, nothing moves, but gradually, the constant pressure, it begins to crack open, and once it does, it never goes back to being completely short. That is what progress is like. Are you heard what I'm saying? If no one is doing then if everyone is not given anyone, if we are still stereotyping women in our own circles, regardless of race or position, then none of us are truly freedom. Because now the question isn't whether we live in the moral world, the question is what we do with the morality we claim to believe in. Every barrier has been opened before on. Not just like possible, not just like permanent. But every step of progress we make today makes another step of progress possible. And that's kind of bit of progress is fucking powerful. That change is possible. So the question is no longer whether change is possible. The question is, do we choose to continue with it? Do we choose to bear moral judgment we believe in? It's not a fantasy, but a responsibility that is still being used by us. Thank you.